Hey, in today's video I want to share my experience and my opinion with you about the new Parakites and especially about the Flare line. Alexander from ProSpeed Flying already made a great video review about the line. I suggest you to watch his video too, as he's an expert when it comes to fly very small wings and for pure speed riding, as I have experience only until the 10-meter line, and at the same time different point of views can help you get more insights and different inputs. I don't want to talk too much about the positive things, but more about what the downsides or differences to normal speedwings are, as I already talked more in detail about the advantages of a Parakite compared to a normal speedwing in this video comparison between the different speedwings Mirage, Rapido, Flame and Line. Here is a short summary about the advantages of the Line. It's the fastest speedwing out there. No normal speedwing in the same size can compete with it. It's also the wing with the best glide ratio and at the same time the best and deepest dive, as you can adjust the whole angle of attack through your brakes and have a pretty big range. Hands up, you decrease the angle of attack and go very steep and fast, same as if you would open the trimmers on normal speedwings, but with a much bigger range. Hands down, you increase the angle of attack, slowing the wing down and creating lots of lift, maintaining a better glide ratio. It's also the wing which makes the longest landing swoops, even if you come in just from a 90-degree turn without building up a crazy amount of energy. Because of this new system where you can adjust everything with your brakes, it's the easiest wing to fly proximity with, because you can adjust your glide ratio to every angle of the slope just by going hands up or hands down. This doesn't necessarily mean that less skill are required, it's maybe the opposite. Because of the higher speed and different system through the brakes, it takes time to get used to it and you can get overwhelmed by it quickly if you're not ready for that speed and muscle memory required. So the Line is the fastest wing which has the deepest dive and best glide ratio at the same time. It's the easiest for proximity flying and the one who swoops the longest at the landings. But what are the differences or possible downsides? Let's start with the most obvious changes between a Parakite and a regular speedwing. The Line has a different profile called reflex, which makes it more stable. It comes with a wider aspect ratio, noticeable especially on bigger sizes. With that, it also comes with a bigger wingspan than traditional speedwings. As this may not seem a big deal, it's something to take in mind as it could potentially become an issue, especially on other Parakites such as the Moustache. This isn't just a concern for beginners, but also for more experienced pilots, especially those transitioning from smaller 8 to 9 meter wings to a bigger Parakite. If you compare an 11 meter Mirage with a 13 meter Moustache and a 13 meter Line, you'll see that the wingspan is 1 to 2 meters greater. 2 meters is a huge difference. It's especially true in situations like flying sharp turns on a slope, where it gets pretty easy to touch the ground with the ear of your Parakite, flying through tight spaces with obstacles on either side, while the Line might be more forgiving and super stable. Even if one air gets dragged in, it's still something to be cautious about, because it might pull you towards that direction if you don't react in time. Landing, especially for beginners. In the heat of the moment, you might get overwhelmed with information and it becomes easy to forget about your wider wingspan. You might get too close to obstacles faster than you think, which can lead to a loss of control. Reacting quickly is key in these situations, otherwise you will be dragged in the direction where the wingtip touched the obstacle, as you can see in this clip where the pilot didn't counter-steered and just followed the direction the wing was pulling him. If you are used to a 9 meter Mirage with a wingspan of 5.8 meters and suddenly try a 13 meter Moustache with a 2.6 wider wingspan of 8.4 meters, which is also the smallest size available, you'll need to adjust your flying style or at least be aware of this. Because of the bigger speed and dive, you need to fly a bigger size compared to what you fly on your regular speedwing. For example, if you fly an 11 meter speedwing, you would fly a 13 meter Line. Because of its longer lines and bigger size, the Line will react slower than your regular speedwing and will have a delay after input, so making sharp turn takes more time. You can see on the Line 13 Even if it's crazy fast for its size, it has pretty decent delay after you give a brake input. This also means the wing rolls less, because you're flying a bigger size than usual. Most speed flyers are more used and familiar with rear riser piloting instead of using their brakes, especially skydivers. For those people, flying a power kite will be more difficult and very strange in the beginning. As everything works through your brakes, you don't feel a lot of pressure and have a pretty long brake travel. You have to build a completely new muscle memory, not only for the flying part, but also when landing and especially taking off. While taking off on regular speed wings, your hands are usually higher and behind your back. With the line, on tricky takeoff spots where you need to take the best glide out of your takeoff, your hands need to be very low around your hips and also more in the front instead of your back. How good the line is for speed riding totally depends on what speed riding is for you. If you want to professionally speed ride in French style, making very sharp turns, needing to stop the wing from overshooting you and slowing it down, the line doesn't work as good as normal speed riding wings. When braking, it will generate too much lift. It's simply not made for this. But if you just want to ride straight, playing around by shooting up and down to ride again, the line is in my opinion easier or even more fun than regular speed wings. As with normal speed wings, you can't really generate lift during riding if it doesn't get steeper, and you can just ski. With the line, you can really feel the added speed as you still generate more lift and can decide whenever you want to shoot up or lose altitude. But as I said, for the real speed riding, it's not ideal. Instead, the line starts shining when it comes to pure proximity flying or barrel rolls touch and go over the ground or water. For proximity flying on an ideal terrain, nothing can compete to a parakite. You can adjust your glide to every corner of the slope just by going hands up or hands down, which also brings more safety margin with it and avoids the scenario where you're missing the glide to overfly an obstacle or a flatter part. That was it. If you're looking for other speed flying guides, such as how to make speed flying as safe as possible, a comparison between the most important speed wings, the difference between flying with rear risers or brakes, a full guide on how to speed fly at Kronplatz or more, I'll leave you the links in the description. See you next time, have fun and fly safe.